And welcome in to another episode of Too Many Points on the Tell Me More podcast. I'm your host, Mac Moore, here again with Marco Marquez and Bobby G. How's it going, fellas?
It's going pretty good. I'm alive. I can't say that about the Patriots dynasty anymore, but it's 50-50 right now. But thankfully, I still got Brady in the Bucs.
All right, Bobby reporting live from a crime scene. Marco, how's it going over there in the bachelor pad?
The bachelor pad, it is going well over here. I just got back from a couple days in Colorado, spent some time in a cabin in the woods with my brother. We had a pretty good time. Did not watch the Thursday night football game, but so everything I'm going to say today is probably just going to be a hot take with no research behind it.
Welcome to the podcast officially then.
There we go.
Yeah, we're just going to make wild statements about Ryan Tannehill and how we always knew he was awful. So that's the game plan. And I think once we get through that, Philip Rivers is going to win a Super Bowl. He's going to be the only quarterback that is in this 40-year-old man geriatric race. We think it's going to be Breeze. It's going to be Brady. When it turns out to be Philip Rivers, that's going to hurt us all very deeply.
See, the real galaxy brain, though, is Jacoby Brissett winning the Super Bowl MVP with 3 quarterback sneaks for touchdowns.
Hey, it still counts as a Rivers Super Bowl.
I am so lost in the conversation already.
Well, the Colts 34-17 over the Titans. We're ready for the hot takes of Tannehill's awful. And then we think, it's funny to imagine Philip Rivers winning a Super Bowl. And in this case, throwing an interception, getting pulled at halftime, Jacoby Brissett coming in. He throws some tutties, and they end up winning a Super Bowl. How are you not following this conversation at all, Marco? We were pretty specific.
Because Philip Rivers Philip Rivers has, at some point he's going to throw 5 interceptions in a game, and it's just going to go downhill. I'm not putting any belief in the Colts. I just see the same thing happening to them that I seen with a 12-4 Chargers team.
Yeah, but this isn't Marty Schottenheimer, let's be honest. The Chargers could win the Colts could win a playoff game. But I didn't actually get to watch the game. I was at work. I did see a graphic, and I just need to know if this is real or not. They put out a graphic comparing the number of kids with Rivers, Mahomes, and Rodgers. Is that an actual thing, or is that just a meme I saw online?
I don't know. What was it like? Compared the numbers. What was the numbers?
It was like a Fox graphic, and It was Rodgers, Mahomes, and Rivers, and it was number of kids: Mahomes 0, Rodgers 0, and Rivers 9. I'm like, what does this have to do with anything?
The number of kids Rivers has. He's winning. He is the Michael Jordan of having children.
I like how they didn't even compare it to Tom Brady, who has kids. Look, even Philip Rivers has more kids than Brady. There's no, we're Mahomes and Rodgers in there.
It should have been Tom Brady in the middle, and then then you get Chris Collinsworth, or I guess it's Thursday Night Football. Who do they have announcing?
Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
So it should have been, this little fun thing hey, you know how many kids Aaron Rodgers has? 0. And then you get one of them saying that's a successful life, and the other one he's too old to not have children, and then that's just this great moment on Thursday Night Football that completely distracts us from the fact that we're watching Ryan Tannehill tank.
See, I feel like whenever they put up that graphic, the next sentence that should have been should have started with, and there's a deep drive to the left by Castellanos. That's exactly the only thing you should follow that graphic up with, because you're not going to have a job if you're what's great, guys, let's do a kid graphic for this one.
I love talking about Philip Rivers having a dozen children. I'm excited. I want him to get to 11, and I want him to have an Ironman high school football team. He's going to have every kid playing. Or I guess at this point he can go to an 8-man league, but I don't think that counts. And he'll get the entire team to be Rivers. Every player will have Rivers on the back of the jersey. That's what I'm waiting for. And they will broadcast it on ESPN3 all the time. And I will be the only person watching that feed. And I'm excited for it. That's the future.
Is that what's going to be on the Ocho in a decade?
Hey, that's the biggest boondoggle that I've ever seen from a media company. The fact that ESPN didn't turn the Ocho into an actual station immediately after Dodgeball. That should have just been there. And what, Spike TV tried to steal it from them and start doing the trampoline basketball game. It was ridiculous. Loved every minute of that too.
Yes. It's funny. That was actually one of the conversations that I had with my brother was how ESPN did not take advantage of the Ocho. There's people out there that want to watch this stuff. I mean,
it has more name recognition than 3 of ESPN's 8 channels. Come on, guys. Step it up.
ESPN 8 has 8 channels.
I don't know. It has a lot. Like, we're not going to count them out, but the point is there's too many, and this is already the most popular, and it's not even a real channel. So they screwed up by not rectifying that as quick as they could. We're done. We need to talk about actual NFL action. We're going to jump back to week 9, and then we'll try to quickly jump forward, and we'll do a few actual points on some big games, since we know Bobby will skip those when we do the hypothetical sports bets. And then obviously we will do those bets, and maybe this time we might pay attention and figure out who's actually the winner, because half the time we have no idea. And I'll blame myself. Apparently it's just because I'm in the lead. Whenever I win, I count, and I must be losing those other weeks because sometimes I just don't give a shit.
Mac, this week you get to pick the bets, mainly because my phone's updating and it's downstairs, and I forgot it downstairs, and I'm like moving rooms.
Then we're gonna have to do rapid fire like I did last week. Like, this is we're just rolling. I say the game and the line, which will be on ESPN. No arguing, Bobby. I don't care how bad the line is. I just have to trust the numbers that are here in front of me.
It's probably gonna be a trash line, but you're the host of Bobby's Hypothetical Sports Bets, so we're gonna let it slide.
I'm the host of Mackmore's Fast Action Sports Bets, and that's how we run it when I'm in control. So we'll start out, and I don't want to talk too far back with the Packers 49ers, but that one interesting to see Aaron Rodgers get a pretty big win, get them back on track, and I think when we're looking at teams that might be pretenders, I think Packers pulled themselves out of it, even if the team that originally put them into the spotlight as possible frauds, the Bucs, now look like the frauds in the NFL right now. We'll talk about that game a little bit later. But normally we talk Chiefs because you got Marco and myself as Chiefs fans and want to jump into it. Is there any takeaways from the Panthers game other than with CMC, Christian McCaffrey back? They put up a pretty good fight, and Chiefs keep playing down to opponents, but most of the time win.
Yeah, I think that the Chiefs are, I think we're seeing something where they know that they're going to be a playoff team, and I think that they're just saving some of that stuff for later, especially Le'Veon Bell. We haven't seen much of a run game with the Chiefs since the Buffalo game. They're really being quiet about that. Other than that, the rush defense, what we know, needs work. Ben Neiman needs to tackle players and not carry them over the first down marker. But other than that, Chiefs pulled away. At least the most that you can ask for is that they got away with a victory against an all right Panthers team. I think Matt Rule is the type of coach that can motivate those guys. And, you're the Super Bowl champions. Every team is going to give you their best shot when you play them. So they did. You got to win. You did well. Now you're into the bye week.
I think that Bobby? I'm not going to go too much into the Chiefs because we know who the Chiefs are at this point with their offense and their defense. But I think that game said a lot more about what the Panthers can be as a team because they've had just a absolutely brutal schedule. And they probably should have won that game at the end with a field goal, or at least they could have had a good chance at winning the game. You obviously are not going to make a 60-yarder or whatever it was, but it was, it came down to the wire. So in the future, the Panthers should be very good. This just isn't their year with their scheduling, but I'm no real hot takes for this game.
All right. That works for me. I agree with a lot of the points. I think Saints Buccaneers, the next one I just want to knock out. I already referenced earlier. This was the one that was pretty mind-blowing because I think even after the Buccaneers had a subpar outing against the Jets, it's if you can finish it off and get the victory, that type of thing happens in the NFL. But for you to follow that up at home, just getting stomped by the New Orleans Saints, and I was ready to cast Drew Brees aside. I think I even said it last week that I was predicting that Saints down the stretch would start to fall apart because I just can't trust that team without Drew Brees throwing it more than 15 yards down the field. Turns out he might go to like 14 and a half yards if Michael Thomas is on the field. And you get him out there, and he doesn't even have the most dominant game, but he's the leading receiver at 5 receptions, 50 yards. And then Drew Brees just starts throwing it around to everybody. The Saints played so well that we had to deal with Chris Collinsworth telling us that it's a good idea to put Taysom Hill and then Jameis Winston on the field. That's how good of a game the Saints had. And I think maybe Bobby tweeted out some joke that if you would have just played Jameis Winston, they would have still covered or something. But, like, this was just unbelievable how bad the Bucs were, considering the whole point was they have a really great offense, all these pieces. Tom Brady's figuring it out. He's getting comfortable with them, and they're going to destroy. And not to mention, they have a really great defense. They looked bad in every facet of the game. And leaving that where the Packers, I had questions after they lost to the Bucs. I'm like, is this just the same team from last year that can beat bad teams, can put up a good record, but has no chance in the postseason? I don't think that's necessarily where the Packers are at this year. But it's hard to look at the Bucs after that game and think, okay, maybe it's just a one-off, but this is a really bad one-off. It's hard to imagine them being a team that will, do what it takes to beat the good teams in the NFL and make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing is, the offense is going to have its bad games. That happens in the NFL. The defense comes up with a good scheme. Marcus Lattimore has absolutely bodied Mike Evans into the ground since they started matching up. He has like 2 catches for absolutely no yards in the past 3 or 4 matchups. And, Godwin's been hurt for a little bit. So you can understand, Brady's going to have a bad game. I think the absolutely most shocking thing to me was how just easily the Saints offense just rolled over the Buccaneers defense. This was supposed to be, that great Buccaneers defense. The front 7 is great against the rush. The secondary is improving. You got Anton Winfield Jr. at safety, probably the rookie of the year for the defensive side. And then you got all that talk about Drew Brees can't pass it down the field, which he still really doesn't. All he does is check down. This seemed like it was going to be a good game. And then, you look at the score and it's 31-0. Almost basically at half, or whatever the score was at half. It was 28-0. So I think this is just a game. We always knew the Bucs were not a very great team in terms of discipline. We saw it last year with penalties. We see it this year with penalties. Tom Brady can't fix that. That stuff's going to happen. And I honestly just think this is one of those games where the Buccaneers were sleeping on the team. They thought they were just going to roll in there, dominate on defense, light up the scoreboard with Antonio Brown, Evans, Godwin, Gronk, etc. I wouldn't read too much into this game. I still think the Bucs are a great team. The Saints are a little bit of, fake contenders because Drew Brees still refuses to pass it downfield. In the long run, this game, we won't really talk about it very much, I think at least.
Bucs, real contenders, Saints, fake contenders after a Saints 38-3 victory. I'll just say, how do you go into a Saints game thinking this isn't, we're just going to destroy them? You just barely survived the Jets. You have to come in here and prove that, one, you're even a good football team. And they didn't even prove that to me in this game against the Saints. Part of it was the Saints getting hot. Part of it was the Bucs themselves. You're right, they're undisciplined. But when you put yourself into that position over and over again, and that's who you are, you're right, Tom Brady can't fix that, then that's a thing that's going to hurt you throughout the rest of the year. As opposed to the Saints, I know they can win games and make a run, and maybe that's not the scariest team when Drew Brees isn't willing to throw down the field, but it's pretty scary when they put up 38 points in that game and he didn't have to throw down the field. Marco, what do you think of just how the Saints handled them so thoroughly? At no point did the Bucs even start to get on the board and try to make a comeback in this game.
Be honest with you, I watched Sporting Kansas City clinch a Western Conference title that night. But looking at it from afar, the Buccaneers, I feel like a lot of people when they're making the NFC conference pick, the Buccaneers are a popular team. You just got swept by a team that you probably will have to play again, because if your goal is to get to the Super Bowl, you got to be able to beat those really good teams. And at least compete with them also. We saw that with the Packers, but the Saints, I know, is a very popular pick for this year's Super Bowl, and I know that a lot of people are putting on them to make the NFC Championship game. So if the Bucs meet them again in that type of setting, it's going to be a problem for them. But I'm very curious to see how this team does, because like you said, it's going to hurt them the rest of the regular season. I'm very curious to see how they perform once playoffs come around, because it's going to be that time where you're playing just good teams.
Yep, that's good points, Bobby. Bad points. I'll just say that right now, and we'll move on. The other game I want to talk about, Bills, Seahawks. Part of this just being that, I think a lot of teams expected the Seahawks to come in and win. I think they were even the 4-point favorite going into this game. And, for me, I picked that was we did like fake bets with Shane last week. We weren't going any real money on the line, but this was the only one that I'm like, you know what? This is officially the fillet of fish bet of the week, because he was saying, oh, with just 4, yeah, I'd take the Seahawks. I'm like, I'll go Bills straight up because I'm ready. I think with the way they play, with the way the Seahawks not proven they can even get after a quarterback, why would I think that's when Josh Allen is going to fold up, And he didn't. He came out, and not only did they win the game 44-34, it was entirely on the shoulders of Josh Allen. They gave up on the running game. I think at one point they were passing 80-some+% of the time, and they never let up. They made sure we have the guy who can throw it down the field, throw it to this receiving corner. Unless you have a game plan or a unit on defense that might be able to slow them down, why would we stop letting Josh Allen just throw it all over you? And then when he wants to, run all over you. And he looked perfect from beginning to the end. If you were just going by that game, and I'll go by the whole season. I think right now, after Russell Wilson's had 2 really tough performances with multiple interceptions, I think Josh Allen, I keep seeing it. It's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. And it is Josh Allen in that 3rd spot as front runners for MVP. Russell Wilson, and somebody needs to throw him a vote. But otherwise, he's falling down that list. He's in 4th place for me right now. What do you guys think of the performance of the Bills and some of the more troubling aspects of what the Seahawks have been facing, even though, they're still 6-2, but it still feels like they've had so many bad games that they might be in trouble here, particularly after losing to the Bills as we're starting to get further into the season?
You just got to credit to them getting out ahead. These, the Buffalo Bills always been that kind of team that were not there, but quite there. This was a game that really proved that, wow, this is a pretty good AFC team. They took advantage of Russell Wilson's interceptions, and that's something you got to do when you're facing an MVP caliber type quarterback. I thought that the offense did what it was supposed to do against a achy Seahawks defense, not a really good one. But putting up 40 points, it was a straight just statement win. I think I'm with you on Josh Allen for the MVP race. This is the type of game where he's supposed to perform like that, and he did just that. He had over 400 yards and 4 TDs. It was a coming out party for the Bills, and I'm curious and excited to see how this team grows. Stephon Diggs, man, he's fitting right in down there, and right up there in Buffalo, and that getting him is showing how valuable that move was in the offseason. Getting that big target receiver for Josh Allen, it's working out for Buffalo, and we saw it last Sunday.
And I'm just gonna hop in here and Mac, what are your MVP picks again? Sorry.
Well, I was given the main list that is
just your top 3.
Rodgers, Mahomes, and then I would say if those 2 are already locks, and it's hard to argue. It's Allen at 3, and now Russell has fallen to 4th.
What about Murray? This is just a side thing. I'm just curious.
I think with Murray, with the way they started the season hot and then slowed down, and then they're right back in it. I need a little bit more from what Murray's doing, but his numbers, we've seen it. Like, you compare it to Lamar Jackson last year, and it's pretty close. Like, if he can continue that throughout the year and have a finish like Lamar Jackson had a finish last year, where he just never slowed down, those numbers stayed as efficient, and you are more productive, as a runner than most other quarterbacks could dream of, then it starts to change, and I would probably start to slide him up to he might be 5 or 6. I have to look at whoever the rest of that short list is. But right now, those are the top 4, and I think Murray is still on the heels of Russell Wilson.
All right, I was just curious, but if I'm Seahawks fans, I'm starting to get a little PTSD flashback. Well, they wouldn't get PTSD flashbacks, but to the Aaron Rodgers teams when you had a fantastic offense, and then the Packers just had 0 defense. That's what it's starting to look like. You're going to have one of those years where Russell Wilson is going to put up fantastic numbers. And then on the other side, you have the Seahawks defense giving up some of the worst numbers in NFL history by far. And I just need to say now, if I ever start a union, I am hiring Adam Gase as my president and the Seahawks defensive coordinator as my vice president. And I will never have to worry about getting fired because this is perfect. I can underperform in my job for millennia. And they're like, pay this man. He deserves a job for absolutely no reason. By the way, delete those photos.
Yeah, that's great. Bobby just described how he became unemployed. He'll never get fired, but he picked a business that will go out of business almost immediately. Good job, Bobby. That was well done.
I mean, Adam Gase still has a job, and he's part of the solution, supposedly.
We will see how long that lasts. The next game to talk about, I think I'll mention it real quick, and then we'll hit Dolphins Cardinals. Steelers Cowboys. With the way the Steelers have continued to have games where they don't look like an undefeated team, but they find a way to win. And the fact that, as the season's gone on, they have faced better teams, and they still found a way to win the game. So when you watch them face this putrid Cowboys team and it be as close as it was to keep the Cowboys in it, does that worry you at all, or is that sort of back to Steelers are playing down to their opponents combined with they're a team that they just know how to win? They're not built on offense to just always be dominant, but they have enough each week to more often than not come away with the victory.
Well, I think that what hurt the Steelers is, and teams can learn from this game, is that they didn't have any film on the quarterback. They didn't have any film for this game. And they had to make adjustments at halftime, and they ended up putting up 15 points in the fourth quarter, which was a big boost to help them win. So if you're going to be going up against the Steelers, don't be just shy away from what you've done in the regular season and come up with something new. Because if that defense couldn't stop Garrett Gilbert in the first half and they had to wait till halftime to make adjustments, just imagine a team with an actual quarterback, what they could do in a first half against the Steelers defense, because that's what that told me right there is they can't play unless they can't go out there they just follow a game plan and then the adjustments come. That's what I got from the Steelers there. So just do something. Don't go away from your film. If you're the other team, come up with something new when you're going up against the Steelers.
All right. I'll let Bobby jump in a second, but first I got to ask Marco, why did you say Garrett Gilbert with such animosity, nowhere close to how you would try to mispronounce Ben DiNucci? What was that?
Ben DiNucci, Garrett Gilbert. First of all, I'm reading the name right in front of me.
I'm just saying, man. Why all the hatred for Garrett over there? But you just say Ben naturally. He was a fine pick, even though he only had a 12 QBR. But can you believe Garrett Gilbert with the 62.8? Jesus Christ! I could have picked in a lineup, picked the Garrett Gilbert, played at SMU. That would have been who I went with. I don't know why they went with the James Madison kid. I was very confused that he got the start last week anyways. And now you're sitting here and you're just trashing Garrett Gilbert, who nearly got the Cowboys a win there. Come on, man.
It's facts, but I give credit. It's one of those things where no film. Garrett, I didn't know he was an SMU quarterback. I can't say I did my research.
Nobody had film of Ben DiNucci, and it turns out you could shut him down pretty easily. Did not take much.
He is an FCS quarterback. That is why.
Then why'd you play him instead of Garrett Gilbert? Who made that decision?
Dude, the
Mike
Cowboys,
McCarthy.
and that's why they're 2-7 right now.
Mike McCarthy making great decisions again. Man, really good that they snagged him away from the Packers. God, genius moves. Bobby, I'll let you jump in now that I've roasted Marco.
You stole my salty energy about Yeah, I mean, let's give Double G some respect. He played a game at least. DiNucci showed up, shit his pants, and the Cowboys were just yeah, we saw it. He was good in practice. We swear. I mean, the next guy's going to be even worse. Then they're like, oh no, he can play kind of. He can take a snap and throw a ball. They're like, oh, guys, we swear, guys. This wasn't what it looked like on the practice field. He just had a bad game. But I mean, just for the Steelers, like I'm not super worried about it if I'm a fan, because this was just one of those classic trap games in the NFL. We see it a lot where you're probably looking forward to next week or whatever. You roll up. You didn't have any film, which is fair. And it didn't seem like the Cowboys were doing as many dumb trick plays as they did with Danucci under center. So there might have been a little bit more confidence, or they might have had more time to install plays or whatever it was. I mean, yeah, Mac roasted you well enough. It's nice for Mac to send that energy to someone else's take besides mine. I was just sitting over here like, oh, this is how it feels. Like, this is nice. I like this.
No, it's all right. Hey, I was just calling it like it is, in my opinion. It's I don't even know what I'm saying most of the time. It's the coffee talking.
Hey, that's the whole point of podcasts.
Right.
Keep talking. No idea what you're saying. And at the end of the day, we're actually getting like hundreds of viewers. I don't know what the hell's happening anymore. But you guys need to find better hobbies, is what I'm saying to everybody watching right now. Not to denigrate the people supporting us, but holy hell, what are you guys doing this morning? There's so many other things to do. If I wasn't recording this podcast, I'd just be watching Netflix. I think I watched one of Marco's shows, and then I was like, you know what? I really need to knock out a rewatch of Master of None. Like, that's the best way to spend a Friday morning.
Have you watched The Queen's Gambit?
We're not going to do this right now. It's on the short list. Dolphins, Cardinals, and this is a game that, like I said, we're going to have a new segment each week. It's called Tua Time. We get to talk about the statistically greatest passer in the history of college football. Tua, not going to try to pronounce his last name because I don't think anybody's ever gotten it right, even though he's a national star. So no reason for me to add to the long list of people who've butchered it. Bringing in this move by Brian Flores, it was so perfect, so genius. And this was true before they end up getting a big win over the Cardinals. You put together a team that is otherwise pretty darn good. You've built up this roster from scratch because you're fixing the mistakes of Adam Gase. And with the quarterback, you're like, all right, we can bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. He could give us 4 games, something to energize those players, make sure they're not getting, a 1-in-15 year and just demoralizing them before they ever get off the ground. And Ryan Fitzpatrick goes in, gets them some victories, gets them where they could make a playoff run this year. And in that moment, that is the one moment where that you don't bench Ryan Fitzpatrick. You wait for 4 interceptions. And instead, Brian Flores is just willing to make the smart analytics move and pull him before the 4 interception game we all knew was coming. Throw in this quarterback that he's been prepping, getting ready to go, and he knows is the future of this franchise, and they hit the ground running, and now they might make the playoffs. They're looking hella good, and they beat a serious contender 34-31 over Cardinals, and Kyler Murray still played out of his mind. So that was a hell of a matchup, a hell of a game there this last week. What did you guys think of that performance? What did you think of the move, Brian Flores jumping to Tua and it paying off so quickly?
See, I want to know who the Moneyball guy was behind that call where they're like, this is the pumpkin meter for Fitzpatrick. Like, it's happening now. Make the switch. Whoever that guy is, I want to meet him. I want to shake his hand. If not, Brian Flores needs to, figure out what tarot cards he read that day and sell them on eBay because he's about to make $1 million. I mean, we all kind of expected, Tua to play up to some form of level like he was in college. He didn't, accidentally do what he did at Bama. He did have the talent. This wasn't, like a Greg McElroy type of situation where like, yeah, he won because of the talent. No, Tua was that good, but we didn't expect with the Dolphins because it's the Dolphins. We all expected them to flub it. But, Brian Flores coming out of the Bill Belichick tree finally may be someone who's doing good. And I'm going to wait a couple more games before crowning Tua because usually if rookie quarterbacks, to Marco's point, is you didn't have any film. Once you get a little bit of film, we're seeing that with Lamar Jackson. That's where the quarterback takes a dip usually, and then I want to see how he bounces back on that one. But a great start so far.
Important to remember that you can't compare him to Greg McElroy because it's like you're comparing him to guys who won games. Then you compare him to Tua, who won the game. Tua's stats are so out of this world compared to other Alabama quarterbacks that had that same level of talent. So what he did in college was off the charts different than these guys. And then what he's doing to start here, the only question people had of him as a prospect was the injuries. So until there is a slip, until he takes a hard hit and comes up limping, I don't think we had to be concerned about what he would look like out of the gate. We knew that would be good. The problem is each season ended with some pretty bad injuries. You got the hip, and then you got the high ankle sprain twice, to the point that he's sitting out important games. Only worries injury concerns.
Well, I think to back up my point a little bit, when you are playing at Bama with that defense, with that coaching staff, with, those running backs, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, etc., I'm sure there were some people who probably saw him come to the NFL and were a little bit hesitant.
The same people who said Deshaun Watson wasn't going to be good enough. The same people who've just been wrong over and over again. There are things that, it's not all about wins. You look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you need to look at the talent on the field. And when the talent looks like it's there, when the results, the wins show up and back it up, and when the stats, it's not just him being a game manager. He came into a system that was built for a game manager, and he lit it up. So until I see any actual video evidence of him not being that guy, why would I even start guessing that he can't play like this at the next level? Like, let him do it, and then show me tape of him.
Find a way to kill him.
Well, he came at the right time. This isn't the Adam Gase Dolphins. This isn't your father's Dolphins. This is more like your Brian Flores and your grandfather's Dolphins. They're coming ready to play, and I don't know how good they'll be, but it's a lot better watching them compete with the right quarterback in place rather than what we've been seeing. And we, like I said, we got a hell of a game out of it. Sorry, Marco, we keep interrupting you.
No,
it's
that's
time
cool.
for me and Bobby to fight. Tell us what you thought of the game.
Hey, I loved it. It was like a high school football game. We got to see two young quarterbacks show off the talent that we have all heard about, and it was magnificent. Not Devontae Parker, but someone that we haven't brought up yet is Preston Williams, having a very quiet, good season for a rookie in a system that we thought was, a team that wasn't going to be that good this year. But he's kind of being a standout player and turning into Tua's number one, and that's what every quarterback needs. They needs that relationship with a receiver like that. It was a good game. This one kind of hurt Kyler Murray's MVP campaign, going back to our conversation that we had, because you got to win the game. And I think what's going to be big for Kyler Murray's case is he's got to win that division out there in the West. He has to win that division, something that Lamar Jackson did. But I'm very excited for this Dolphins team. Right now, they'd be playing the Chiefs if the playoffs started, which I think would be a pretty good game considering Tua's ability to run out of the pocket and play actions. But it's Brian Flores came from the Patriots system, and I think he's going to be that one bright spot on Belichick's coaching tree, which we hardly have seen.
Yeah, it's because Bill Belichick was so good. He just made most of those assistants look like they were competent, and they weren't. that even adds even more, and that's why I didn't need the Buccaneers to get killed. But it helps to tell it to the really dumb people. Like, stop trying to pretend like Tom Brady has magically won that breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just ridiculous. And until we get to a point where the Patriots go a few years of mediocrity, I don't want to hear anything about that, because he has done an amazing job, and clearly it wasn't just from those. Look at all these assistants. None of them have been able to replicate anything anywhere else. Like,
nope.
You barely get offensive coordinators successful being offensive coordinators without coming home to Bill and Bill putting him back. Like, don't worry, I got you. Go stand over there and repeat all the words I say. Flex, puppet, when I tell you to. And Bill Belichick is so good at that. Brian Flores happens to be the exception to that rule, and he's got the Dolphins in a pretty good spot. Are there any other games from the last week before we start moving ahead, do a little bit of looking forward and jumping to Max? Fast action sports bets. The most amplified segment in all of podcasting.
Yeah, we can even out that
the Bobby segment.
Yeah, we can even out that energy. I like it. But I think we just need to touch on the Chargers-Raiders game real quick, because this is a beautiful moment where the Chargers found a way to lose in heartbreaking fashion, but the Raiders actually didn't get screwed by the refs in their mind. Like, what part of the universe broke in this one?
That's good. I like just going after the Raiders with your Patriots slant. It's a good way to start this one off. That was a game that was interesting just because I think earlier in the year, you would have imagined that just being two bad teams. You get the Raiders playing better than we thought they would. And then with the Chargers, they're technically a bad team. They got a bad record, but they've been playing out of their minds. They've been this close to winning. And each week, Justin Herbert, it's not like the losses ever fall on him being just a rookie and whatever. Like, he is still doing an amazing job. So that's about as happy as you can be in a situation where you're 2-6. Like, it's going to hurt those players, but there's got to be that level of energy where you see we have the future, we have Justin Herbert back there, and we're doing a lot of the things right, even if we're not quite ready. That's got to help you keep up that energy throughout this year and hopefully going in the offseason as you want to build on this. So very, very important game. Marco, did you get to see any of Justin Herbert just being this super athlete monster on the field?
Oh, yeah. Joe Burrow and him are two of my favorite quarterbacks to watch this season. Goal line fade, outdated. I can't believe they ran it back-to-back plays. It's just like you had the Raiders right there. You had them run a different play, man. That was just hard to watch the Chargers. Once again, just lose another one because as much as I don't like the Chargers, I really hate the Raiders. I really do. And it's just one of those things where, I bet if Anthony Lynch could go back and run a different play, I'm sure he would.
If some weird thing happens and the Jets magically win some games, the Pats win a couple games, if the Chargers land in last place despite just fighting every game and losing at the last second, do the Chargers just draft Trevor Lawrence and then decide which one they trade off for as much value as possible?
Knowing the Chargers will get Lawrence and then just keep one of them as a backup.
Well, no, you see, the Texans are going to trade Deshaun Watson because they need first-round picks.
Well, they wouldn't get a first-round pick. Bill O'Brien would give them up for like a conditional fifth or something.
There's no Bill O'Brien anymore. They have moved past that. Hopefully they can fix things. It's just interesting to look at the Chargers that have that bad of a record, but I think they'll still look at that positively. I don't have any other games from the week. There was some decent ones. Surprise of the Falcons. I just like them getting out to a quick start, and then it was like, you are going to fall apart and lose to the Broncos, and luckily they held on. And the only thing left, the only game we have to talk about, because I think Bobby thought he would get away from it as much as he could, is we have to talk about the toilet bowl. We have to talk about Patriots-Jets. And at this point, Bobby, I have to ask you, is Joe Flacco elite? I need an answer.
No, we're not going into that meme. We're not. Joe Flacco has never been elite. His 2012 run in the playoffs was bullshit. Shouldn't have even beat the Patriots. But we're moving on to the Patriots because I got some salty energy. You're supposed to
Marco, Joe Flacco, is he elite?
No.
Oh,
this
man.
is my moment, Mac. Let me have my moment. They were supposed to tank. You have no talent on offense. Gilmore's hurt. You have Hightower opting out. You have J.C. Jackson getting burned by like Perriman or whoever it was. This was your moment, New England. Like, who cares if you win the Brady Belichick divorce? Do not go like 7-9 and miss out on all the quarterbacks. Cam Newton's not the solution. Edelman's old as hell. You have no homegrown talent on this team at all. The defense is getting old. The McCourtys are probably gone after this year. You have zero pass rush. Please, for the love of God, just start tanking. Put Hoyer back in for all I care. Like, do not go 6-10 or 7-9 and mess up your chance to have a team. Like, you could have, like, I would have loved the memes. Like, you could have lost to the Jets. Now you're celebrating a 3-point victory over the Jets like you just won the Super Bowl. Like, no, Nick Folk ain't Adam Vinatieri. Like, I don't care about it. Move on, lose. Your team is trash. Let's just accept it. Like, kill the dynasty, reload for 2 years, and let's start it over again.
Marco, when the Patriots go 4-12 and then draft a middle linebacker high in the first round, do you think they will decide to make the move in the offseason to move on from Cam Newton and pick up Joe Flacco and see what he can do next season?
Well, no, it's actually I think that They're going to trade for Deshaun Watson. That's what I was talking about. That's why I hinted at that before we started this, because that's who the Patriots are going to go after. And Bobby made a great point, because Belichick could probably negotiate with Bill O'Brien for a 5th round pick. That would be the scenario. No, the Patriots, I don't know. All I got to say is I got good value for taking Cam Newton in the last round of my fantasy football draft. That's the only thing I could say. Go ahead.
I think I got 2 weeks out of him
Yeah.
where it was like I was ready to trade him, but we don't have a league where anybody would ever buy a quarterback up, minus being strapped in like week 8 with too many buys. So
No, Joe Flacco's like Tom Brady. Father Time doesn't get to him.
True. And he ages well. He ages like a fine wine. And, I'm just really excited for what he can command on the open market. I'm really excited for to see him in Patriots uniform next year. It should be fun for all of us. Definitely fun for Bobby. Bobby will have a hell of a time. That's all we have for all of last week. I think we had mentioned we brought up the Colts and Titans enough. There wasn't really much there for us to really jump into other than it's another bad week for Ryan Tannehill. He started out the season just playing out of his mind, and now they're kind of stuck in this kind of free fall right now. Do we think this is just a rough couple weeks for the Titans? Is it team like the Colts coming in at the right time and then put together the right game plan? What is happening that the Titans have started to have this trouble now that it's okay to lose to the Steelers? I don't think it's okay to lose to the Colts by 17.
Well, I tried to tell you this already. Ryan Tannehill is not the kind of quarterback that I would trust in big games because of how limited he is. I can't say I watched the game last night because I was on the road from Colorado, but looking at the stat line, I mean, they held Derek. They did a pretty good job stopping Derrick Henry. I assume with the run game, Phillip Rivers played the way he was supposed to play. You cannot discount this Colts defense, but I hope if this is something where the Titans are about to go into a rough streak, they got the Ravens next week, and then they got to play the Colts right back again. So if we could see them at 6-5 by I guess the end of November.
Yeah, Bobby, tell us why Phillip Rivers is going to work his way into the MVP conversation and why the Colts this is their breakout week.
Because every one of his kids is going to give their MVP vote to their dad, Rivers, and that's how he's going to win. But
I bet Pete doesn't like him. I bet Pete's going to vote for Russell Wilson. I hope one of his kids named Pete. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, Peter King's probably going to vote for like someone dumb like Bobby Wagner or something. But the biggest takeaway from this game is, why do they still have Gostowski as their kicker? Is there like no one else you can kick the tires on? This dude misses like a big field goal every week. Obviously, at the end score, it wasn't big because they lost by 17. But in the moment, that field goal would have cut the score from 10-7. That's a completely different game, given how much the Titans have to rely on Derrick Henry in play action. Once you get above 10 points in the fourth quarter, you can't keep running the ball every play.
Yeah, and it was weird because after the Steelers loss, Mike Vrabel was going like cleaning house, and he gets like rid of their longtime long snapper, Bo Brinkley. And I only know that because he was a kid who played at Kearney. So that's one of the schools I cover up in Northland, KC. So like, that's their like fix. And they're like, why don't we get rid of Gostowski? Like, he's right there. And, like, Mike Vrabel's like, no, he's a proven winner and we keep him forever. And they're like, I think your bias is showing, Mike, and he wouldn't have any of it. So we'll see if how long he'll last with the Titans. But the kicking game is not the only thing they need to fix. A lot of things just have not looked good in the last couple weeks. And, Marco mentioned it, like they slowed down Derrick Henry to the tune of 130 yards, 5.4 yards per carry. They just kept him out of the end zone. And it's like, that's Marco, you're not even wrong. That is slowing down Derrick Henry. That is a successful game against Derrick Henry. If you do that to him, it forces Ryan Tannehill to throw for 15 of 27, 147 yards, and you end up winning the game. So
you put the ball in Tannehill's hands, it's going to be bad.
So apparently, as long as you can keep that, that's how much running backs have fallen. That Derrick Henry is like, I don't know what he's the second coming of Bo Jackson mixed with Jim Brown mixed with Barry Sanders mixed with, you just start throwing every running back ever. And it's like, that's Derrick Henry. And it was like, we kept him to 5.4 yards a carry. Like, he still was getting first downs. Like, why don't you just give him the ball every time? Those are just, he's never going to stop moving the offense forward. They're like, I don't know, we need to see what Tannehill could do. Nope. New offense, Derrick Henry, Wildcat the whole time. Go until it breaks down. That's all you got left, Titans. I don't really mean that, but I kind of do. So that's all we have for Colts Titans. Now we're going to get to our favorite segment, the best segment. It's better than any of the knockoffs, like, I don't know, that Bobby Hypothetical Sports Bet segment that isn't very good. We are getting to Mackmore's Fast Action Bets, and we're going to start off Bucs, Panthers. We're taking lines from ESPN. I don't care if Bobby's mad. Bobby, what site do you use when you grab lines?
Bet online, I think. Or no, scores and odds. Scores and odds.
We're on ESPN. It's right there. It's with all the rest of my information. I don't care if it's never accurate to what Vegas is actually saying. ESPN.
Yeah, but you can't laugh at the opening lines.
Bucs, Panthers. We got Bucs are -5.5. Marco, who do you got?
Panthers. They got a lot of confidence riding in from last week, only losing by 2 to the Chiefs.
Bucs because I need Tom Brady to give me some fantasy points this week.
All right, this is a tough one. Bucs have to win, and this is more. I'm putting this on them. Like, once they lose, they're done. They're out. I'm never picking them again. I'll pick them every spread the rest of the way. I'll pick them to not cover. This one, though, they got to get back on track. And although the Panthers look good against the Chiefs, as we mentioned, Chiefs played down, and Panthers got the little bump from getting Christian McCaffrey back in the game. I think when all is said and done, Bucs should be the better team. They should be able to win by 5.5. I'll take the Bucs. Texans, Browns, and this one doesn't have the line on here, so we're assuming this is even odds. And we'll start with Marco. Who do you have in this game?
Browns. No reason.
Well, it's not an even line. It doesn't have a line because I'm pretty sure Baker hasn't decided if he's playing or not. So give me the Texans if I'm getting even money.
Perfect. I'll take the Browns just because I think that running game without Baker Mayfield is better than what the Texans are doing right now. So I guess the next one is probably Matt Stafford on COVID. I don't know why the Washington Detroit line is missing for ESPN. That would be another one that we are just going to go. You want to make up a line? Do we want to go just even? Do we want to skip it because there's no line?
Washington. Let's say Detroit's -3.5.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I hate it and I don't care about the game. We're skipping it. We're going Jaguars, Packers, -13.5 for Green Bay.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was about to say, I was like, Mac roast me for picking the shitty games. He hasn't picked a good one yet.
They're just in order, man. These are all the games. We're not stopping until we get through the list. Each one that has a line.
Okay, give me the Packers.
All right. Any reason?
No reason.
We don't care what the reason is anyways, Bobby. These are fast action bets. Marco, pick.
Jags.
All right, I don't got time to waste, boys. I got stuff to do today. There's some district championship games tonight. I got to prepare. Eagles, Giants. This is -3.5 for the Eagles. We know this is a shit fest, but doesn't matter. We still have to pick the game. That's how this works, Bobby. Bobby, who you got?
Give me the Eagles. And did you even pick for the Packers game?
No, I'm trying to avoid it.
He just told about his work.
I'll take Packers.
Give me Giants over Eagles. They cover.
I'm gonna go Eagles. Yep. That's easy enough. So did Bobby you pick? I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I picked the Eagles.
Doesn't matter what you said, Bobby. Broncos, Raiders. We got Raiders -4. Get a little bit of the rock happening early in the morning. This is what happens when I drink coffee to start the day. Just kidding. Sprite. I don't even have caffeine. This is just how crazy I am.
Whoa. Look at that. Las Vegas.
What a difference of energy in the hypothetical sports bet sections. But give me the Raiders.
Vegas.
So, Chargers, Dolphins.
You didn't even pick again.
Once again, I don't care about the game. I'm here hosting. I'm moving us as fast as possible.
He wants our opinion.
Bobby keeps interrupting. So, I will go Broncos on this one, although picking against the Raiders has not worked out for me the last few weeks. Dolphins, Chargers. Dolphins minus 1.5.
Give me Chargers. I think they get this one.
Give me the Chargers too.
Because Shane is not here, I have to pick with his energy, and it's the Dolphins. I don't even know why you'd second guess it with only 1.5. Like, are you guys kidding me? Do you guys even watch football? Do you know what Tua time is? This is Tua time. Bills, Cardinals. We got Cardinals minus 2.5.
Give me Bills.
Is it in Arizona, right?
It's in Arizona.
All right, give me the Cardinals then.
Give me the Bills. We're going to keep riding Josh Allen all the way to the finish line. He's the only reason I'm still alive in my fantasy league. Thank you, Josh Allen. Seahawks, Rams. We got Rams minus 1.5.
Hawks. Seahawks.
The Rams are minus 1.5.
That's what's on ESPN. Like I said, live with it.
All right, give me my mansion I won on Iowa State. Put that on the Seahawks then.
I will take the Rams just to be fun. 49ers, Saints. This is Saints minus 9.5.
49ers cover. Don't think they win though.
Saints by 11.
I am going to go 49ers. I don't have a good reason for it. It doesn't make any sense. But once again, that's how I picked all of my picks last week, and I beat the living hell out of Shane. So that's all you got to do. Pick against you guys who are just going to keep losing money every single week. Bengals, Steelers. This is another one with no line, so I guess we're not picking it. I got to scroll down faster before I start reading names out loud. Ravens, Patriots. Ravens minus 7.
Give me Ravens.
That's
I think
what's
they
on
win by 2
ESPN.
touchdowns.
Bobby, stop staring at me. That's all I can do, man.
I want to know who in Vegas, messed up this line. Probably because, somehow Lamar Jackson is going to get like -2 passing yards. But give me the Patriots because, I'm going to ride the momentum of absolutely nothing and start praying to God.
Give me the Ravens. I think they're just going to keep rolling, particularly against bad teams. Don't expect them to let up against anybody. This is one of those bets where I'm expecting them to win like 3 touchdowns. Like this is back to when Bobby picked the Seahawks to win by 3 touchdowns. I think they won by 10. Vikings, Bears. We got Vikings minus 2.5. Who do you guys got?
I'm going to take the Vikings on this one. I like what Dalvin Cook did last game.
I'm going to take everyone on the Vikings besides Kirk Cousins, and you know what? Because that's how the team really is.
So whenever I talk about big matchups, I love the cliched phrase, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Well, with these two quarterbacks, this is the stoppable force meets what is also the unmovable object. That one stays the same, but it's because he can't move the ball up the field. We got Kirk Cousins going up against Nick Foles. This is a nightmare scenario for me to have to pick one of these fools to win a game. I can't do it. It's hard. It's impossible. But with the minus 2.5, that gets you into that strange range of, is one of these teams dumb enough to end up losing by 1 or 2? I don't think so. I think that I think the Vikings are good enough to pull this one off. They're the ones who are at least putting things together and trying to play up to what the potential of most of the roster is. The Bears are going to keep doing what the Bears do, and I don't trust Nick Foles at all. At this point, he's so awful that I just have to land on the Vikings. It's the hardest pick I've had to make, but I'm willing to do it. That's where I'll land. And if Kirk Cousins throws 4 interceptions and proves me wrong, I'll live with it, because then it just means I get to roast Kirk Cousins next week, just like I roasted you fools today. It was a great podcast. I had a good time. I'm going to get out of here. Any other NFL topics before I will leave Marco one chance to hit any NCAA football stuff, any NBA, any news outside of NFL? We'll knock that out for the last 7 minutes. I can't let the listeners down and be done with this thing before an hour. That's way too short. We never do that. We go extra hours when we do podcasts. So right now, any NFL topics or other sports topics you feel like we need to talk about, they're just, so important to you, Marco. You can't get out of here until we discuss them and have Bobby nonchalantly respond in somehow an aggressive manner, but very monotone aggressive.
Well, first off, Mac, I got to cut you off right now because you missed an easy joke, and I'm going to take it. We all know why Nick Foles is immovable. He's got something really big weighing him down. All right, go, Marco.
Easy joke.
Easy joke.
Easy joke. No, nothing really. I've been paying attention to Sporting Kansas City a lot. I'm a soccer nut. U.S. men's national team played last night with their new squad. They ended up getting a tie. I think that it's moving forward. The U.S. national team, they developed a new culture now, and I think it's something that we have to get excited for. If you want American soccer to be good, you got to send the players. You got to get players from the European leagues. Unfortunately, the MLS is not a great enough talent league just yet. So you got to do what Jurgen Klinsmann was trying to do until he got fired. So I think it's kind of ironic we're going back to his plan. So that's my 2 cents. But Sporting Kansas City, first place in the Western Conference. Haven't done that in a couple of years. I'm very excited to see what our hometown soccer team can do in the MLS playoffs. NCAA football, I don't know.
Well, you got Clemson losing to Notre Dame. We'll get to in a second. But Bobby, is there anything on your agenda to knock out?
I mean, no, not really. I was going to bet on soccer. Then they're like the Champion League qualifying can tie or whatever is playing. I was like, how are you tying in a Champion League? That just makes no sense to me.
It just happens, man. That's just how soccer happens. You know, when you put two good teams together, you get a tie once in a while, even in Champions League.
It just makes no sense to me. It's the Champions League. How are you going to figure out a champion if you can tie?
Sounds like the regular seasons league.
There you go. Hey, it makes it exciting in the final. Juventus and Real Madrid, they played a few years ago, and Cristiano Ronaldo went to PKs, one of the most exciting games of soccer in the last 5 years. But that's what happens, man. You got to wait till the qualifying rounds are over. Then once you get to the round of 16, round of 8, knockout stages, that's when it gets fun with the ties.
Was that the most exciting 1-0 score you've ever seen?
Yes, it was. I'm glad you asked. You know why? Because soccer isn't about the points, man. It's about just watching and analyzing, and I don't know. I'm just talking now. Come on, get me out of here before I say something else.
We are holding on to this moment as long as we can. That's my favorite part, is when everything breaks down. The train wreck is my favorite part of this podcast. I do want to talk about Clemson losing. They 47-40 against Notre Dame. Is this the first major blow from COVID forcing a player out? Because obviously we had the Titans where they had the outbreak, and then you have games that are being shuffled around. People can't go in, and I guess for a moment Bobby might have thought Cam Newton having to sit out a game was the worst thing that could happen. But
it's a conspiracy against the Patriots. We both know it. It was Mahomes. They would have delayed that game.
As it turns out, Cam playing or not playing didn't really matter for the Patriots. But with Trevor Lawrence being, everybody is tanking to try to get him. He is at the top of the heap. He has a Clemson team that pretty much never loses in the regular season. And to have this loss be one where they couldn't have him out there on the field just seems like a huge blow. And, there's probably going to be this, as you start to get to the very end of a strange season anyways, it's going to be hard to figure out exactly how they make decisions on who's making it to a BCS Bowl. Can they even have BCS Bowls as the COVID numbers keep going up? To have Trevor Lawrence be out during this moment for them to lose to Notre Dame, I think that's probably the biggest blow that we've seen from sports trying to go on through COVID. And, it's just, you're not always going to be able to get on the field. Sometimes things like this are going to happen. You have to play through it, and it didn't work out for the Clemson Tigers there.
Well, I think that, the quarterback play was still great. There was 439 passing yards. That was 129 more than what Notre Dame had. Notre Dame just beat you where you couldn't win, and that was with a balanced offense with the run game. Notre Dame showed out. I don't think there was a problem at the quarterback position because, like you said, looking at it right now, DJ had a pretty good game, and Notre Dame.
Trevor Lawrence wins games.
I don't know, but
being 29-44, he's 35-44, and they come out of that with a victory.
Maybe if your running back didn't average 1.6 yards a carry and you could go to it, that might have been a different story. Notre Dame showed out.
It's easier to shut down the running game when you don't have to deal with Trevor Lawrence. Let that guy throw some vanity yards, and you're going to come out with the victory by the time it's said and done.
The real question for Marco is if Garrett Gilbert played in that game, would Clemson have won?
Yes. Heck, the guy from Oregon State, if he played, they would have won. No, I don't know. I don't really know. You guys need to. It's getting hot in here.
That's from the
All right.
roast, man. It happens.
It's funny.
I was going to. We're approaching the final 60-minute mark, so we will not get to the topic that I keep prolonging, but we'll probably hit when we actually do an NBA preseason podcast. They're planning to get that start before Christmas. Seems crazy to me. I don't know how they plan on doing that. It seems probably like it's bad for the players, but we'll do more of a deep dive in a month or so as we start to add some NBA coverage to the Too Many Points podcast or Too Many Points show on the Tell Me More podcast. This is when it's live and I can't go back and fix it in post. That's all we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Leave your comments, like all the stuff. I promise I will start to get us closer to a setup where I can actually respond to comments while they're happening. As it is right now, I have no idea. I think we got one, and I just clicked like real fast on my phone. But we will keep improving the podcast. We'll keep becoming more interactive, and me and Marco have some plans to make both of our podcasts head to high def here soon. So keep up with us. We're doing great things. That's all we have. We'll see you next week. We'll try to get 2 podcasts in, but I'm not promising anything. Bye, folks. Too much of a delay.